Howdy Tabletop RPG fans, I'm Wranglemate, Grand Poobah of Game Design, and today's topic is RPG Design Storytelling for Game Masters and RPG Designers. What is RPG storytelling? RPGs are not books, video games, TV shows, or movies. RPG storytelling is an interactive collaboration between players and the Game Master. The adventure formula is setting plus cast plus plot plus MacGuffin equals adventure. You may notice that this formula aligns quite well with my game design pattern for places to go, people to see, and things to do. The MacGuffin is an object, device, or sometimes an elusive person that acts as a trigger for the plot. In the movie Maltese Falcon, the MacGuffin was literally a small statue of a falcon. The GM controls the setting and some of the characters in the cast. The players portray the protagonists, possibly sometimes the sidekicks, and determine the actions that those characters take. You may remember from my video about Make RPGs Funny that two of the primary axes of drama are control versus consequence. Vertically is more consequence versus less consequence. Horizontally is less control versus more control. When the characters have more control, the tone becomes tragedy or romance depending on the consequences, death or happy ever after. When the characters have less control, the tone becomes horror or comedy depending on the consequences, death or benign failure. This video will cover the narrative structure or story arc used in RPG storytelling. Setting a world and cast or archetypes will each have their own videos. Narrative structures. It is quite popular to talk about the 3-act structure, especially in stage or filmmaking. Classically, these acts are exposition, confrontation, and resolution. This structure has been falsely attributed to Aristotle, who split plays into 2 acts, complications, and denouement. Narrative structures. Shakespeare's plot model was discovered in 1863 by literary critic Gustav Freytag that followed a 5-act story arc used in all of the Bard's famous plays. Exposition through complication to climax is the rising action. Climax through resolution to conclusion is the falling action. This structure is also called Freytag's pyramid. Narrative structures. Joseph Campbell's hero's journey used ideas about mythology and psychology to describe the template for a classic epic story published in 1949. The hero's journey is 12 scenes or acts depicted in a circular clock face that divides the ordinary world from the special world. The start and ending both settle on the status quo, but it may have changed when the hero changes. It is used in Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Harry Potter, and so many more successful films and books. Narrative structures. Inspired by the hero's journey, Dan Harmon's story circle is 8 scenes or acts depicting the typical story of a sitcom, cartoon, or other TV show. It is used in Community, Rick and Morty, and now in many other media. It is even more important that the trip around the circle returns the cast back to the status quo so the series can keep going. Narrative structures. Coming from the classic storytelling in China, Korea, and Japan is Kishu Tenketsu. This 4-act structure is used in art, music, video games, manga, and practically all storytelling in Asia. The important difference, which I find appealing to both humor and adventure design, is the prominence of the twist. While there are other narrative structures that mention the false goal or twist, it is Kishu Tenketsu that places this aspect so highly in the narrative structure. Story archetypes. Different from structures or even genres, archetypes are categories or types of plots. Starting with Robert Heinlein's Boy Meets Girl and Little Taylor, and then adding L. Ron Hubbard's The Man Who Learned. The list of archetypes goes on and on. Man versus fill in the blank. Man, society, nature, machine, or self. For RPGs, I highly recommend using the Big List of RPG Plots by S. John Ross. Diving deeper, you may enjoy the 36 Dramatic Situation by Georges Polte, or become lost in the endless archetypes of the TV Tropes website. You can start to see that by mixing in a variety of settings, casts, plot structures, archetypes, and MacGuffins, there are endless procedural ways to generate adventures. Perhaps my favorite RPG adventure generator is in the deluxe version of the TOON RPG. It should be inspiring to any RPG designer. RPG Adventures. Adventures start off with a hook, which motivates players to engage. I prefer to use the story beats from JOHNN FOUR'S 5-room dungeon as the basic template to any adventure. These can be dungeon rooms, wilderness locations, or urban encounters. The name doesn't mean that there has to be only 5 encounters, but that is typical for an evening's adventuring. There can be many arrangements for these rooms, and they don't necessarily need to be done in any particular order. The 5-room types or beats are Entrance Guardian. This can be defeated in battle or by skill use. Puzzle or roleplay, a chance to engage without battling. Setback or trick, an encounter that tests the player's character's resolve. Climax and boss fight, the final test of the character's skills, resources, and ingenuity with a satisfying conclusion. It can also involve using the MacGuffin to win victory. Reward and resolution. It may be the MacGuffin treasure, hooks to future adventures, or clues to the character's backstory or destiny. Having twists on any or all of the rooms/encounters gives novelty and surprise to the adventure. It also ups the emotional content, and if you want, the humor. Remember, the drama is created from consequence and control. There are many kinds of story beats and examples from other narrative structures that can help make your adventures amazing. I like to collect them in my notebooks. For my own adventure designs, I fill out a small template that includes the cast, encounters, and twists. I always leave plenty of room to improvise and encourage game masters and players to collaborate while responding to the challenges of each adventure. If the adventure designer is not the game master running the adventure, the designer needs to consider how the GM can scale the encounters to fit their game table. In my RPG designs, I include random tables to help procedurally generate unique plots, encounters, rewards, and MacGuffins that help engage and motivate players and make it easier for players and game masters to improvise. Thank you all for watching this episode. Hit like, subscribe, or ring the bell, or Booger will get you. If you want to see more videos like this, go to hopspush.com and buy an RPG or t-shirt. Do good, annoy evil, and bye-bye.